in the last stream, we were working on setting up our brand new power source, that being this 5x5x5 multi-block reactor from Extreme Reactors 2. And we set this up in such a way that whenever this energy cube over here is full enough to where it doesn't emit a strong enough redstone signal to trigger this redstone torch here, the reactor is offline, basically meaning whenever this reactor here, whenever this energy cube here falls below about halfway, the reactor should come online, and whenever it goes above half full, meaning that we have enough power to power all of the things in our base, then the reactor should turn itself off automatically. Now, between streams, this has been continually running, powering the entirety of our base. If we head back, let's quickly see, we are slowly but surely running out of uranium, which is not great. That means that we are using uranium faster than we are producing it. There could be a few reasons for that. Let me quickly check. Yes, okay, so the reason that we are running out of it is actually due to the fact that between streams, we didn't have this diamond mesh in the auto sieve here. I had it over in my regular sieve because in a previous stream, we were sifting for gas tiers and I just didn't put it back. But hopefully, going forward, we should start to get more uranium, and we're hopefully producing enough uranium to where we can continually power the reactor all of the time. One byproduct of the reactor is cyanite, which now has its own drawer over here. Also, between streams, I have filled in all of the rest of the two walls here that didn't already have all of their drawers in. And I have also spent a bit of time between streams kind of working a bit on redesigning the base ever so slightly. I've gotten rid of most of what was up on the surface here, and I do plan in the future to almost entirely get rid of what is on the surface. I kind of want to try and make sure that everything that can be underwater in our base is underwater. And down at the bottom here, now that we're no longer using the projection field to do anything related to compact machines or to do any of the crafts that can be done with a field projector, I figured we might as well tear those down and kind of repurpose this room for some of the stuff that was taking up a bit of space up on the surface. So over here, we have all of our igneous extruders making red sand, gravel, soulstone, netherrack, and regular sand. And going forward, I think I might even move this again. Right now, this side of the room is dedicated to just bookshelves with the anvil and the tinkering table. But I think I might get rid of this and set up another 5 igneous extruders over on this side of the base, because I hadn't really thought about it much up until now. But at the moment, we're actually not actively producing cobblestone. We can also use an igneous extruder to make things like marble, which is maybe a bit less useful, but something like making stone automatically I think could be very useful. It saves us having to teach our system how to turn cobblestone into stone, and also teaching our system how to make dust could be quite useful as well in the creation of clay going forward. And so I think I might add 5 more over here just to make the room symmetrical, and also to give us a few extra resources that we're currently not getting. But either way, the plan for today's stream is kind of twofold. I want to start working towards, I think, generating more resources and also processing those resources much more efficiently. So there's a quest line right here called Aren't You Glad, which involves the ore tripling, quadrupling, and quintupling process with mechanism. So right now, the system that we currently have is our resources are generated over here in the auto sieves. They're then crafted into chunks. Those chunks are then taken around to the pulverizer. They're pulverized from 1 chunk into 2 dust, and then those 2 dusts are smelted in the redstone furnace, producing 2 ingots. Now, what we can do with mechanism is we can take that 1, 2, or even 3 steps further, because we can turn 1 chunk into 3 ingots, 4 ingots, or 5 ingots, depending on how complicated of a system we want to set up. For example, if we look here, if we were to put an iron chunk into a purification chamber, that gets us 3 iron clumps. We could then put those 3 iron clumps into a crusher to get 3 dirty iron dust, and then we could put those in an enrichment chamber to get 3 iron dust, and then you could smelt those into 3 iron ingots, essentially tripling the amount of iron that you get per chunk. Alternatively, you could take it 1 step further. if you put the items into a chemical injection chamber, you can turn your iron chunk into 4 iron shards, and then from there it's the same process. It's the purification chamber into the crusher, into the enrichment chamber, into a furnace, and then finally, if you really want to maximize your resource production, you can put the iron chunks into a chemical dissolution chamber, which will turn the iron chunks into dirty iron slurry, which you can then use in a chemical washer to make clean iron slurry, which you can then use in a chemical crystallizer to make iron crystals, which you can then put into a chemical injection chamber. And then again, the last bit of the process is the same. It goes from a chemical injection chamber into a purification chamber, into a crusher, into an enrichment chamber, into a furnace. So as you can see, if you want to go through the whole rigmarole of setting that up, which I think we might, then you can really increase the production of your materials. You can up to quintuple all of your resources, which is pretty insane. The idea behind that, the reason that we're going to do that is because if we're going to beat this pack, we of course have to make ultimate singularities, and the ultimate singularities here are made from singularities of a bunch of different resources. I'm assuming that there is an iron singularity somewhere on this list here. There is. So for each iron singularity, we need 5,000 iron. And as of right now, we have 3,200 iron, and that's from nearly a month of just passively generating iron. So if we're going to make multiple of those ultimate singularities, we're really going to have to up the production of basically all of our resources. Now, the trouble with that is that a lot of the machines from Mechanism have had their recipes changed to require many pulverizers from thermal expansion. For example, if we look at the purification chamber here, the purification chamber is made from an enrichment chamber, and the enrichment chamber is made from 2 crushers, and each crusher is made from 2 pulverizers. So in order to make a purification chamber, we are going to need many pulverizers, because we of course need many crushers, and then the enrichment chambers. And the thing is that even after that, if we want to go even further, you then need a purification chamber in order to make the chemical injection chamber. The cycle continues. So getting into some of those really late game Mechanism machines is going to require the crafting of tens, if not hundreds, of pulverizers. And so I think one of the things we should work on in today's stream is hopefully teaching our system how to make those. That does get a little tricky in that the pulverizer does require a redstone flux coil, which is another craft that can only be done in the Tinker's smeltery. It's definitely doable, but it is going to require some tweaking to our current system, because with this recipe, we have to send the 2 different resources, which are gold and red alloy ingots, to 2 different parts on the smeltery. The gold has to go into the smeltery, and the red alloy ingot has to go into a casting table. Other than the redstone flux coil, everything else to make the pulverizer should be very straightforward. And in fact, if we come on over to the pattern grid here, we can very easily just teach our system how to make a regular pulverizer. It already knows how to make copper gears, it already knows how to make machine frames, and of course teaching it how to make a piston is also going to be super easy. Now, to take a quick detour, one thing that people have been asking me to do for quite some time is automatically craft and send blank patterns to the pattern grid so that we don't have to keep requesting them and putting them into the pattern grid manually anytime that we want to craft. So essentially what you can do here, much like we've done with our overworld matter in the sieving room, is you can set up an exporter on the pattern grid itself, and then if we put a crafting upgrade into that exporter, we can then of course put in the pattern like so. And what that's going to do is initially, that's going to put all of the patterns that we currently have in the system into the pattern grid. So if we type it in here, you'll see that this number is going down. But then as soon as the number of patterns in our system hits 0, the system will then request more patterns be made to fill up the extra space in the pattern grid. And so with this system, we should basically always have 64 patterns in the system ready to go whenever we want to encode a new pattern to teach our system. Also, another thing that I do want to work on in today's stream is potentially finally getting the Infinity Range Booster, this guy right here. It is a rather expensive recipe requiring quite a few nether stars and quite a bit of netherite. However, now that we have a few thousand redstone flux per tick being generated by our reactor, one thing that we can do in here is we can go ahead and re-enable the Wither Builder, all we need to do is once again tell our system to craft and export both soul sand and wither skeleton skulls, like this, and eventually we should have enough nether stars to make this happen. Now, one thing that I might do here actually is I might look into the detector from refined storage. So we have made one of these before. I'm pretty sure we needed to make one of these in order to make the requester, which is what is keeping us in stock of machine frames. But essentially what I'm thinking here is that we can use this detector to turn off the Wither Builder once we have a certain number of nether stars. Because at the moment, the way that we have this set up, we are going to consistently use all of our soul sand and all of our wither skeleton skulls and quite a bit of power, producing an unlimited number of nether stars, which is a bit wasteful. And so one thing we can do here is we can take a detector, and if we put that down next to the Wither Builder here, and just to kind of show how it works, I'll do something like this, and then we'll use a bit of redstone in the middle, like that. And of course, we do need to connect this up to our refined storage system. And basically, the way that this works is in here, you can tell this to emit a redstone signal when you either have too many, too few, or an exact number of a certain item in your system. Now, of course, I am thinking here that we should probably also get an importer, because right now, of course, all of our nether stars are just going to sit in this mob crusher. So let's go ahead and do something like that, and then hook that up to our pre-existing cable over here. That's going to pull all of the nether stars generated by the system back into the refined storage system. Chat has reminded me that I am a fool. We did take out the crafting card, which is actually called a crafting upgrade, in a previous stream. So right now there is no crafting card in here, which is why wither skeleton skulls are not being made. Once we put the crafting card in, that is going to actually start producing withers for us again. But essentially in here, what we should be able to do is drag a nether star from JEI into here. And what we want to do is we want to set this to emit a redstone signal when above a certain amount. So let's say 64. What that should do is that should now emit a redstone signal from this detector once we have more than 64 nether stars in our system. The final piece of this puzzle here is with the Wither Builder, we need to set this to active with no redstone signal. So now we should continually spawn and kill withers over and over and over again, generating nether stars, which will be pulled automatically into the system. Once we hit 65 nether stars, a redstone signal will be emitted from this detector, and then that redstone signal will stop the Wither Builder from producing future nether stars. So just to show how it works here, we've lowered this number to 1, and so right now, because we do have more than 1 nether star in the system, we have 6, a redstone signal is being emitted, and the Wither Builder, despite having all of the items to build a wither, is not building it. So we'll go ahead and return that to 64, and that should continue to produce nether stars for us, so that hopefully later on in today's stream, we will have everything required to make the range add-on to increase the range of our wireless crafting grid to cover the entirety of the world. Now that that's sorted, one more thing that I do want to do, in fact, 2 more things that I want to do before we start looking at automating the pulverizer. One thing, I need to clear my quests. The quests have been fixed since the last stream, so all of the quests that we had completed previously are now once again checked off, which is good. There are still quite a few quests though that we've not claimed our rewards for, like all of the reactor parts from the last stream, and so if we click the little button in the top there, we get 37 more C-Bucks, taking us up to a total of 187 C-Bucks, which is very, very close to the 200 C-Bucks required to buy the scale. And so it also might not be a terrible idea to look into completing a couple of the quests involved in getting us there. So, for example, the Emerald Mesh quest is one that we can complete instantly because we've done that. We can also complete the Netherite Scrap quest almost instantly as well. The same is true for Platinum Ore, Platinum Chunks, and if we smelt a Platinum Chunk, we should also complete the final quest down there. What else do we have here? A netherite ingot is something we should be able to make nice and easily. We just need netherite and gold. And given that we have so many of each resource, I'm also fairly happy just to throw a stack of both of those into the induction smelter there. That is the Netherite quest, and that is the Platinum quest. Let's go ahead and claim all our coins. We're up to a grand total. We're up to 193, so we need to find 7 more. Actually, it's probably going to be a good idea for us to make the Netherite Mesh today, because if we are going to look in a future stream at setting up the ore quintupling system, we are going to need both titanium dust and fluorite. The fluorite here is used to make things like the chemical crystallizer, and the titanium is of course used to make titanium ingots, which are then used to make things like these black iron ingots here, which are not specifically related to the ore quintupling, but are required for us to get into the extended crafting section of the quest book. So we are going to need quite a bit of titanium, and then I'm pretty sure that the dilithium crystals and dust are required for space, but don't quote me on that. The space mods have changed in the newest updates to the pack, so we no longer have advanced rocketry. We actually have a new mod, which is called Space Boss Tools, which I believe is a 1.16 port of Galacticraft. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. If we want to make a netherite mesh, we need to pull 2 blocks of netherite over an emerald mesh. That seems very doable. We almost have 18 netherite ready to go. And so in fact, if we just get some more gold and some more netherite scrap, we should be able to get those 2 blocks fairly quickly. I also think it's probably worthwhile upgrading this diamond mesh here to a netherite mesh, because I'm pretty sure that it is overworld matter that gets us the fluorite. Never mind, it is gravel that gets us the fluorite. Interesting. Okay, so let's leave the diamond mesh in there for now. We should upgrade it, because right now I don't think we're getting any more emeralds. But what we should do then in that case is upgrade this flint mesh here to netherite, so that we can use that as our method of getting fluorite and titanium. So I've made an iron mesh here, but if we're going to upgrade to a diamond, then emerald, and then netherite mesh, we are going to first have to get another 16 redstone flux coils, and so this is probably where we link back round to the beginning of the stream, where I was saying that we need to automate the production of pulverizers, and to automate the production of pulverizers, we need to automate redstone flux coils. So the basic premise is fairly easy. We switch the pattern grid to processing, and we tell the system that 1 red alloy ingot plus 2 gold ingots, boom and boom, equals 1 redstone flux coil. Encode. That's a fairly easy recipe for us to teach. However, as I mentioned before, we're going to have to set up some kind of system here to make that actually work. Because right now, if we just put this in here and start requesting them, that's going to try and put both the gold and the redstone ingots into the smeltery, which is not what we want. So what we actually want to happen is we want the gold to go through into the smeltery via this pipe, much like the stuff for the overworld matter does already, but we then want the red alloy ingots to go elsewhere. Now, my first question is, does our system know how to make red alloy ingots? I don't think it does. Oh, never mind, it totally does. Nice, okay, that's fine. So in that case, what I think we probably want to do is we want to get some more item pipes, and at this point, I'm also thinking that we should move one of these drains away from where it currently is. And we should probably also look at upgrading that drain to another one of these filtered drains. So a little bit of cobalt smelting later. There is another seared drain. Over here, I think we will basically put this drain down over on this side. And then we're going to have that, of course, pull out and into the casting table down here. So essentially, I'm thinking that we take these item pipes and we do something like this. And then if we get one more basic pipe upgrade and we add that in here, we actually might have to take that one step further, because I'm assuming that the basic pipe can't blacklist. It can't. So let's take both of these out. And let's upgrade those to the improved pipe upgrade. That should hopefully allow us to blacklist. It still doesn't. Let's take it one step further then and invest in at least one of the advanced pipe upgrades, which hopefully allow you to blacklist. They do, beautiful. So what we can do here is we can blacklist the red alloy ingots. So add, and then red alloy ingot, and submit. And so now everything that's not a red alloy ingot should get extracted via this pipe into the seared chute, and therefore into the main body of the smeltery. Over here, we can then do the same thing. We can add another advanced pipe upgrade, this time adding the red alloy ingot as the only thing to be whitelisted. So that is the only way the red alloy ingot will make its way out of that dark oak chest. And so now if we were to put one in here, it should make its way around over into the casting table. And then all we have to do then is filter this seared duct to only ever extract molten gold. We do still have some of these copper cans left from our overworld matter filtering. And so hopefully, if we just do something like this, we can extract the molten gold, and then we can add that to the filter over here. And so now let's test this. We'll take out this red alloy ingot. And if I were to request one of these redstone flux coils, start and start, we should see the ingot make its way to there, and we should see the gold make its way into the smeltery. Nice. All we have to do to finalize the auto-crafting nature of this setup here is add some kind of importer, I guess, to the bottom of that casting table. And that should complete the craft for the coil. It does. Beautiful. So let's see then. If I were to request, let's say 15 more, because that's what we need to make the diamond mesh, does the system get clogged up? The good news is that this does seem to be working. It seems that the pipes here are extracting fast enough to where it is working just fine. To be fair, we are transferring items every 5 ticks, which is every quarter second, so they do move instantaneously over into the casting table. The bad news is that, of course, even though this is automated, it is still incredibly slow. And so what I'm also thinking we should probably do is we should probably teach our system how to make requesters, which shouldn't be too difficult. And then we should use requesters to keep things like coils in our system at all times. So back over here, I'm being told by the creator of the pack that you can waterlog the casting table and casting basins in this pack, and I assume in the new Tinkers in general, to increase the speed at which the contents of the casting table or casting basin cool down. So now, if we were to request, let's say, another 16 coils here, start and start, it's still going to take just as long for the gold to melt down. But hopefully now the cooling process in the casting table here is at least a little bit faster. I'd have to do a side-by-side comparison to know if that's significantly faster or not, and I might put one in the YouTube video because I'll be able to compare to us doing it earlier. That does look a lot faster though. Still definitely going to be worth us having the requester though, I think. And so over here, I have taught my system how to make a bunch of things, basically all of the items required to make the requester, things like redstone torches, redstone comparators, crafting tables, crafting upgrades, detectors, etc. And so now if I request a requester, our system should be able to make one fairly quickly. And I think going forward, what we'll probably do is we'll probably start putting our requesters maybe in this compact machine. So once we have our requester, like I said, I think we'll just put these down probably along the back wall here. We could really fill this with quite a lot of requesters if we wanted them. And of course, we only need the one cable because once you have one requester, any other requester that you put down next to it will automatically connect to all of the other requesters. So now, if we grab one of our coils in here, let's say we want our system to keep 64 of these in at all times. So 64 redstone coils and save. Much like with our machine frames before, we should now see a craft for the remaining 33 redstone flux coils scheduled to fill that void. And I think we'll also probably want to increase the number of machine frames kept on hand as well. And in fairness, at this point in time, we can probably take this requester and also place it over in here as well, just for consistency. Let's do that. Let's say machine frame. We'll do this. And again, I think we'll do another 64 here. If we're going to need so many pulverizers, having 64 of those ready to go at any time we need them, I think is going to be tremendously useful for us. So back over here, we do now have everything it takes to make the diamond mesh. However, because we've now told our system to backlog so much stuff, it is currently crafting quite a bit. And it's probably also about time that we look at making some of these machines even faster than they already are. Right now, we do have these hardened integral components, but it's probably about time that we look at getting either the reinforced, but potentially even the resonant integral components as well to really start to increase the speed at which our machines are working here. It really shouldn't be too difficult. None of this looks too hard. The reinforced components look very easy. And then the resonant here require enderium, which we can make again in the induction smelter using ender pearls, lead, and diamond dust. Right now, we don't have a machine down that we can teach our system how to make diamond dust with. Obviously, we could do it with our pulverizer, but our pulverizer is currently being used for other automation, and so we'd probably have to get either another pulverizer or a crusher down. Then again, our system does now know how to make pulverizers, and so if I go ahead and request one, at that point, the only thing it's missing is oak planks, and I assume the reason for that is that I have mistakenly taught our system to use oak planks for the piston as opposed to dark oak planks, which are actually the oak planks that our system has and knows how to make. So let's try that again. Pulverizer. And go. So I've set up the pulverizer here. Same system as always. We've got a X-Deck connector underneath, craft on the top. This is set to input on the top, output on the bottom. Of course, sending things around to that ender chest. In fact, I think I do need to set it to extract here. So it does send its items around to the ender chest. But now, if we come over here, chat, we should be able to teach our system how to make the higher tier integral components. So in code, I think our system does know how to make signalum, but probably not how to make signalum gears, would be my guess. Yeah. So we can, of course, teach it how to make signalum gears. That's fine. We'll then teach it how to make the highest tier, the resonant integral components in code. For that, we're going to have to teach it how to make enderium ingots in the induction smelter. And as per usual, we will make sure that we're using the correct lead ingots. The ones from Mechanism are correct. And then we also need the right kind of diamond dust. In our case, it's not going to be the Mechanism diamond dust. It's going to be the thermal expansion diamond dust. And hopefully, this machine will be very quick momentarily, just as soon as we start getting some of these higher tier components. For now, I am going to temporarily do something like that, just to make this guy a smidge faster. And then we can quickly teach our system this in code. We can also teach it the diamond dust recipe in code. What else do we need here? We need to teach it how to make lumium gears, getting rid of this in code, as well, of course, as how to make lumium itself, which again is done in the induction smelter, this time with tin and silver, as per usual. This needs to be a different kind of tin, and we need 3, and I think a different kind of silver. This time just the 1 in code. And now we need to start putting all of these into the correct crafters. So the induction smelter needs enderium and lumium. The gear crafter, also known as the multi-servo press, needs both of the gear recipes. The pulverizer, the new one, needs the diamond dust recipe, and then the other two go into here. And look at this, we're getting so many. We're actually almost full on this diamond crafter here, which is madness. But the question is now, is that everything, or have I missed something? I have definitely missed something. I missed hardened glass. So hardened glass is made using obsidian, quartz dust, or nether quartz, fire charges, and sand. That seems very doable. We do want to make sure that is actual quartz and not quartz dust, and that's fine. We also need to teach our system how to make the fire charges, but again, should not be a problem. Coal, blaze, and gunpowder are all things that our system is actively making. And so now, if we were to request, let's say, one of these, the only thing it doesn't know how to make is the initial integral component, also known as the hardened integral component. So we can teach it that, make sure that it uses the right kind of gold gear, which our system does already know how to make. And boy, have we gotten down a bit of a rabbit hole here in terms of teaching our system how to make stuff so that we can teach it how to make other stuff so that we can make it faster at teaching and crafting other stuff. But either way, we'll do this. Components, start, and start. That might take a little while here, because there are quite a few things to be smelted. While we wait for that craft, let's also teach our system how to make these Flux Linkage Amplifiers. We should already know how to make electron plates. In fact, do we already know how to make these? No, because I'm fairly certain our system knows how to make lead gears. It does. We've just taught it how to make redstone coils. And so now if we do this, that's also going to be just another tool that we can use to increase the speed of things like our induction smelter even further. And there we go. A little bit of crafting later, we now have the Resonant integral component. So let's swap this out. Right now it's using 80 RF per tick and has 100,000 redstone flux in storage. And now it's using double that, 160, and can hold double as well. So the final craft here is 3 more of these flux linkage amplifiers. And again, not too long later, we have more flux linkage amplifiers. So we'll throw those in. We're now using 320 redstone flux per tick. But now, if, for example, we request a stack of quartz-enriched iron, that is hopefully going to be a good deal faster than it was before. It's still not lightning fast, and it's still quite possible that we might want to spread a couple of these crafts into other induction furnaces to make sure that we can produce things even quicker in the future. But at this point, chat, we are now at the fastest point we're ever going to be at, I think, to make the diamond mesh. So just as soon as this is done, we can put in the redstone server, the iron mesh, and the redstone flux coils. And once again, very slowly, but very surely, a diamond mesh will be created. And I think that this is as good of an indication as any as to how much faster our induction smelter is now, because at the start of the pack, this recipe here, I believe, took 5 minutes in order to complete. And you'll see now that it is almost done after just a couple of seconds here. And so hopefully any minute now we'll be able to upgrade even further to the emerald mesh. For that we need 8 blocks of osmium and 1 block of emerald, both of which should be incredibly easy once again for us to make. 1 block of emerald, and then real quick we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 blocks of osmium. Combine those up with the new diamond mesh that we have in here. Boom, boom, and boom. And quite a bit of time later, we have an emerald mesh. So let us head on over, chat, to our smeltery. We'll drop the emerald mesh in here. We will grab our 18 netherite ingots. Throw all of those into the old smeltery here. And it's at this point that I realize that I am a fool, because in order to melt netherite in the smelter, in the smeltery, you actually need a hotter fluid. Right now we're using lava, but we actually have to use molten blaze as our melting fluid of choice here if we're going to get this to work. So what I'll do for now, I'll disconnect the connector. And by the way, I did teach my system how to make connectors now, so going forward, we can just request those. But we are now going to have to, one, get a new tank, or try and empty this tank out of the current lava that it has in it. But we're also going to have to get enough molten blaze in order to actually get this stuff smelted. Now, I don't know if we're going to need a permanent setup for this. I don't think we're going to have to smelt that much more blaze going forward, or that much more netherite going forward. And so I think for now, if we just do something like, for now, if we just get rid of this seared tank, which unfortunately does retain its contents, and so we are going to have to make a new seared tank here. Thankfully, they are very easy to make. Bizarrely, the only thing we're missing is glass, but again, thankfully, we do have glass shards ready to go. So, boom, seared tank. We'll put you down there. We'll put the multi-servo press down like this and make sure that the left is set to output. At that point, we can begin putting blaze powder in like so. And then if we get another flux point, we should hopefully be able to get power to this guy. Although, given that this is not using too much power, we might actually not need a flux point. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like we are going to. Okay, so let's stop this, because I think we've got more than enough blaze there already. We really didn't need that much. And so now we should have the 2 blocks worth of netherite. We do. Let's pull those out over the emerald mesh here. And finally, chat, we should have a netherite mesh that we can use for our gravel sifting. So it looks like this does take quite a while to cool down. Chat has pointed out, while we have the blaze in there, we should look at making this manual ingot because this does also require blaze. So we need 3 cobalt ingots and 1 ingot of molten debris. So let's take 3 cobalt ingots, and then as for the debris that is gathered just with the netherite scrap, I'm not quite sure how much netherite scrap we need to get 1 ingot's worth. It might just be 1 netherite scrap. It is, yeah, so 3 cobalt and 1 netherite scrap should get us manulin here, and at that point we could then pull the manulin out. This looks like it is done, but clearly it's not. It's still cooling down. That's fine. There is our manulin ingot. Let's go ahead and pull that out, which is becoming harder and harder to do. I guess what we're going to do is we're going to move this over to here, like that. We then need the ingot cast, which is in our system. We'll pull that out. The netherite mesh is done. And any second now, our first bit of manulin is also done. Beautiful. That's 2 more quests completed, taking us up to a grand total of 195 C-Bucks. But the more important thing, for now at least, is that we can head on over to our gravel saver and we can throw in that netherite mesh. And so now we are going to finally start getting things like fluorite and titanium, which are going to allow us in a future stream to push forward and actually start working on quintupling all of our ores. And at this point, chat, we basically now just need to find 5 C-Bucks and we will have the scale. So, right back at the beginning, in Wooden Tech, there is 1 quest left to do, and that is for the Akashic Tome. This is basically a guidebook that lets you combine other guidebooks, and should be fairly easy, I think, for us to make here. 1 regular book is easy enough, and then making a bookshelf is a little trickier. However, if we wanted to be extra lazy, we could just grab some of the pre-existing bookshelves that we have, do something a little bit like this, and this, and this, and boom, we have the Akashic Tome, which is that quest complete. 4 more to go. What else have we not done in here? I thought, oh, of course, the bedroll. Okay, so the bedroll is, I believe, a sleeping bag. So for that, we are missing 3 leather. Now, we don't actually have any leather, which does make that one somewhat problematic. Although, I think that Isaac of the past was a little bit lazy and didn't actually throw away some of the parts in here. And so I think it's maybe possible that we could get some leather by breaking down our leather armor on this table. We totally can. Nice. Whether or not we can get the 3 required, that's a different question. But I think we should be able to. I'm assuming that even though these leather boots are basically broken, we can still get leather from them. Beautiful. And that is enough leather to make a bedroll, which for now I'll put in my backpack. We might need that at some point. That's a chapter complete, and that is a grand total of 197 C-Bucks. What else do we have down here? Under basic crops, we can make some bread, which of course is a nice and simple recipe for us. Beautiful. What else do we have here? There's Beetroot Soup, which is a bowl and a bunch of beetroots. And over here we do have over 1,000 beetroots ready to go. And I think we should have a bowl left from our water-breathing days of the past. So if we do something like that, boom, Beetroot Soup is done. And then 1 more quest. How do you make pumpkin juice? It's 1 pumpkin and 1 glass bottle. We don't have a pumpkin. However, I'm fairly certain that over here we do have a pumpkin stem, and look at that, chat, there is a pumpkin ready to go. I was not expecting that a pumpkin quest was going to be the quest that pushed us over the edge into getting the scale, but here we are, pumpkin juice acquired. Let's claim all of those rewards for all those 3 quests, and chat, we have done it. Finally, after 22 episodes and many, many hours, we have 200 C-Bucks. We can head on through into the store and we can purchase the useful item that is the scale. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've done it. Chat, we've done it. I think we can put this into one of our bauble slots. We can, so it doesn't have to take up a slot in our inventory. And now, chat, we can freely fly anywhere in the world at whatever Y level we like, whenever we like. And while we're in the shop, another thing that I have been procrastinating on for quite some time that we should definitely do, chat, is get an exchanging gadget. This is one of the other tools from the Building Gadgets mod, along with the Building Gadget and the Copy Paste gadget. And the reason I want one of these is that for the longest time, I've been saying that we will eventually replace the wood in these wooden spheres with glass, right? Like our main sphere. Up until now, we've been using wood, or initially when I built the spheres, I built them out of wood because wood was a lot easier to come by, and also because the copy-paste gadget code that I had was set up for wood already. But we do now have the ability to replace some of this wood with glass. So we should probably do that. Now, one thing that people have been requesting quite a bit of is the use of clear glass. So clear glass is just the same as regular glass, but it just looks a little nicer. Regular glass has all of these little texture difficulties. I don't know what you'd call these. Has all of these little spots in the middle, whereas clear glass, I believe, only has it right at the corners. So unlike regular glass, it is, some might say, a little clearer. So if we do something like this, do we have our basin? We do. Let's grab that and let's quickly once again replace this guy. So essentially, to make it, you basically put regular sand into a smeltery and then pull that regular sand out into a casting basin. Again, now that we know that we can cool down the glass faster if it's waterlogged, let's quickly grab a bit of water here and let's quickly see about waterlogging this basin. At that point, hopefully we can make this clear glass faster. But if, for example, I were to shift right click with the exchanging gadget on the clear glass, and if we were to open the menu here, we'll set the range nice and big. So now over here, if I right click, it'll replace all the regular glass with clear glass. And as you can see, it's just a lot more clear. There's a lot less stuff in the texture. And so we can go ahead and start replacing basically the entirety of our base with clear glass. Of course, in the main room here, a lot of the glass is drawers now, so there's not too much to replace, but stuff at the top can be replaced. And again, most importantly, over in rooms like these, we could start replacing all of the wood with clear glass. So I've turned the lever on here, and this is being pulled out automatically, which is great. However, I'm going to turn that off here. I have been informed by the creator of the pack in the Twitch chat that we can actually use our sand to make snad. And then if you put snad into a redstone furnace or into an energized smelter, that makes clear glass directly. I've also requested that our system make a new resonant integral component. And so if we put that in here, and if we also add in some Flux linkage amplifiers, we should be able to start making clear glass a lot faster using this redstone furnace here. And in fact, we could even take it one step further, of course, and quickly teach our system how to make snad. And then from there, take it one step further and teach our system how to smelt snad into clear glass. And if we put both of those into the crafter above the redstone furnace, which right now isn't really crafting much anyway, we should now be able to request that our system just make us some clear glass. And at that point, we can then start using that clear glass to replace all of the rest of the glass in the base. While we wait for that, we can come back right to the beginning of the stream again and look at getting this infinity range booster. So at this point, we have 66 nether stars, so the system is working. No more are being made at the moment. Right now, Eyes of Ender we don't have. However, we can make those, I think, fairly easily. Range add-ons we also don't have, but again, hopefully can make pretty easily. I'm fairly certain our system does now know how to make upgrades. It does, so we'll request 3 of those. As for the nether star infused netherite ingots, we should be able to get 3 of those basically right away here. We totally can. And then at that point, we almost have everything. Now, one thing that I did find out between streams is that it shouldn't be, I don't think, too difficult for us to automate the production of Eyes of Ender. Up until now, I've been using this recipe, but I think going forward, it's going to be a lot easier for us to use this bottom recipe here. So this recipe at the top takes 1 ender pearl and pulls molten blaze over it. The problem with this recipe is that the molten blaze cannot be made in the smeltery. You have to make it in the multi-servo press. That's not strictly true. You can make it in the smeltery if you actually put a real blaze in there. But our refined storage system, unfortunately, at the moment, cannot export actual mobs into the smeltery just yet. And so, unfortunately, we do have to use the multi-servo press. However, this recipe down here pulls molten ender over a blaze powder, and unlike molten blaze, molten ender can be made in the smeltery. All we have to do is put ender pearls directly into the smeltery, and we're good to go. So if we take 2 ender pearls here and some blaze powder, what we should be able to do is just drop the 2 ender pearls in. Of course, the smeltery in general is getting a little full here, which is less than ideal. Over here, let's quickly replace that with one of our casting tables. And then all you have to do at this point is put down the blaze powder, make sure that the ender is at the bottom, and we can just pull that over directly, and we get Eyes of Ender. And going forward, we can probably set up a system similar to what we've set up for the redstone coils with blaze powder and ender. All we have to do is set up another pipe coming out of this dark oak chest, which we might have to move, but wouldn't be too difficult to do either way, and then set up a new seared duct that was filtered to just pull out ender over a table that had blaze in it. And I think that's probably going to be worth it, just so we don't have to keep making Eyes of Ender manually in the future. For now, though, we have made these 2 manually, and so that should be almost everything for the Infinity Range Booster. The only things that we're missing are these 3 range upgrades. So I'll make 1 more range upgrade here, and the chat has pointed out that we do already have 2 range upgrades in our wireless transmitter, and we can, of course, reuse those in the making of the Infinity Range Booster, which we do now have. That is another quest complete. So the question here is, how much power does this use? So right now, our system is using almost 500 redstone flux per tick. If we put in the Infinity Range Booster, which now increases our range to basically infinite, we are now using 4,483 redstone flux per tick. And so, unfortunately, I don't think that we can leave this in here, because I'm pretty sure that that is more than we're producing. If we come on in here, we should see that our reactor is probably on all of the time now, because this is probably going to start losing power quite quickly. And over in here, we'll see that we're producing, just shy of 4,000 FE per tick. We do, of course, still have our dynamo, which is producing a few hundred RF per tick, but even combined, they're not even producing enough power to run just the refined storage system, let alone everything else in the base, which is definitely less than ideal. And to take it one step further, the Infinity Range Booster doesn't even give you the ability to access your wireless, to access your refined storage system across dimensions. So right now, if I try and access it in this compact machine, because there is no wireless access point in here, even though we have an Infinity Range Booster, I can't access it in different dimensions. To do that, we would have to get a dimension card, which is made from 4 Infinity Range Boosters. So we'd have to make 3 more of the booster we've already made, along with 4 more Nether Stars and an Eye of Ender. At that point, we would finally be able to access our refined storage network interdimensionally, and I've been told that that upgrade requires about 9,000 redstone flux per tick to run. And so, unfortunately, I think for now, despite the fact that we have the Infinity Range Booster, until we get more redstone flux per tick coming in, we're going to have to go back to just using 2 regular range boosters to give us access anywhere in this current base. But going forward, hopefully we can get more redstone flux, we can get that infinite range, and hopefully eventually we can even get the dimension card as well. That would be super useful for automation going forward, just allowing us to access our refined storage system no matter what compact machine we're in, and even in other dimensions like the nether, and the end is going to be so much easier. For now though, how are we doing on clear glass? We have 366. So chat, let's see if we can't get rid of almost all of the wood in the base here. Okay, so quite a bit of wood replacing later, and we've gotten this sphere to be now made completely out of clear glass as opposed to out of wood, and I think it does look pretty good. Between streams, I'll spend a bit more time replacing some of the other spheres with clear glass. Of course, we can't do the same for our mob spawner. We could, if we wanted to, look at replacing all of the wood with tinted glass to make it like match the others in some way, shape, or form. I do think that replacing the oak planks with wood has kind of brought out some of the jankiness of this room. Like, I think the nether portal looks significantly worse now, and so we'll have to find a new place for that, I think, very shortly. And we'll also probably have to redo most of this lower level here. But then again, we'll probably end up moving our farming situation away from there and then either down to a lower level, we might set up a new farming room on one of the other entrances, or potentially we might just move away from standard farming altogether and look at getting a bunch more phytogenic insulators to automate all of our farming going forward. But essentially, chat, in the next stream, I want to come back, and now that we have the ability to make as many pulverizers as we like, I'd love to start working on ore quintupling. It's going to take us a little while. I don't think we're going to be able to do like all of it all at once, like get to ore quintupling in the next stream, but we can start working on it. We'll probably be able to get tripling and maybe even quadrupling done in the next stream, but it becomes kind of exponentially harder to progress even further on into like ore quintupling. And we could also look at increasing our actual chunk production, or our kind of raw resource production, by also investing in some mining lasers. Up until now, we've been getting all of our resources through sifting, but if we wanted to going forward, we could look at using the kind of brother to the fluid laser base, and that is the ore laser base. So unlike the fluid laser base, which we use to generate ether gas, you can use the ore laser base with surrounding laser drills to generate basically all of the ores in the game. And so if we wanted to up our ore production, we could do that. We could set up a room or an area of the base, or even a compact machine that we then fill with the ore laser bases, and then we could use all of the ores generated from that in our ore tripling, quadrupling, quintupling system to generate just a ton of resources. And of course, once we have all of those resources, we can then finally start to look at some of the late game stuff like going to space, and also at the extended crafting questline, which is going to allow us to start to make some of the creative items. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's stream there.